You think you know the love story? Two people meet, they move in, they share life, modern, free, independent. But in 1862, in a stone room in Turin, a priest named Giovanni Melchiorre Bosco woke from a vision that changed how he spoke to young people forever. He saw couples, young, in love, living together without the sacrament. And he saw what followed them, not folklore, not metaphor. He wrote it down, dated it, told his boys at the oratory. The vision had names, places, outcomes. What did Don Bosco see? Why did it shake him so hard he recorded every detail? What happens when you build a home without the foundation he believed kept souls intact? This script is researched and factual, using sources from the biographical memoirs compiled by Giovanni Battista Lemoyne between 1898 and 1939 across 10 volumes of primary testimony, and the original dream records held in the Salesian Central Archives in Rome, catalog section DS047, which contained Bosco's handwritten accounts, cross-referenced with witness statements from boys at the oratory who heard the visions recounted within days of their occurrence. Now back to the information. A man appeared, told him he would lead these boys not with fists, but with gentleness and catechism. The man said his mother would show him who to follow. And then a woman appeared. Giovanni wrote the date, described the clothing, recorded the words. He did this his entire life. Every vision carried a timestamp and a location and details he could verify later. The Industrial Revolution was flooding the city with young workers. Boys from farms arrived for factory jobs. No family, no structure. Many slept in stables or under bridges. Don Bosco started gathering them in his mother's courtyard, taught them catechism, found them work, fed them. By 1846, he had 100 boys meeting every Sunday at a chapel in Valdocco, a district on Turin's northern edge. He called it the Oratory of St. Francis de Sales. His mother moved in to cook. The boys called her Mama Margarita. Witnesses signed or gave verbal confirmation recorded by his secretary. This was not mysticism for mysticism's sake. This was a man building a system to save working-class boys in an industrial city. And he used every tool he believed God gave him, including visions he treated as actionable intelligence. He was 46. The oratory now housed 300 boys. He had workshops teaching carpentry, tailoring, bookbinding, shoemaking. He ran a night school, published a Catholic reading series with a circulation of 12,000. He was exhausted. That night he fell asleep in his small room on the oratory's second floor. The vision started before midnight. Young, maybe 20 years old. They were moving in together, no wedding, no priest. They carried furniture inside. The house looked stable, solid. Then Bosco saw the foundation. It was not stone, it was sand, loose, shifting. He could see through the walls. The couple ate together, slept together, worked, laughed. Everything looked normal. But under the floor, the sand was moving, grain by grain, silent. Bosco saw the couple argue. Small things, money, chores. The arguments grew. He saw the man leave for work and not come back on time. The woman waited. Her face changed. Worry, then anger, then nothing. Flat. The sand under the house was shifting faster now. Cracks appeared in the walls. Thin, hairline. The couple did not see them. The woman sat in the house alone. The cracks widened. The foundation was collapsing inward. The house tilted, just slightly. The couple noticed nothing. They were fighting now, loud. The baby was born, crying. The man did not hold the child. He left. Days, came back, left again. The woman's face was hollow. The sand was gone. The house was sinking. He described them in his written account as dark forms that entered when the couple fought. When the man drank, when the woman cursed, the forms stayed in corners, crept closer. The couple could not see them, but their presence changed the air. Don Bosco wrote that the house felt colder even though the fire was lit. The child cried more. The man grew violent, shoved the woman. The shadows moved into the room. Another couple. Same structure, stone, 2 stories, no sacrament, same sand foundation. This couple was older, late 20s. They had lived together 5 years, no children. They looked happy, comfortable, but Bosco saw debt, papers piling. The man had borrowed money for the house, could not pay. The woman worked, but her wages barely covered food. The sand was almost gone. The house was held up by nothing. One night the man left, took what silver they had. The woman woke alone, tried to hold the house, could not. It collapsed inward. She was buried. The prayers did not reach the couple. Something blocked them. The sand under the room was already half gone. The couple fought within 3 months. The girl got sick. Fever. The boy left to find work. Did not come back for 2 weeks. The girl died alone. Bosco saw the date on the death record in the vision. March 9th, 1857. 5 years before his dream. He checked later. A young woman named Lucia Ferraris died that date in a rented room on Via Po. Because listed as fever. No family present, no priest. He did not write them in Italian. He wrote them in Latin. They are still in the archives. The words translate as accusations, thief, liar, whore, blasphemer. Bosco wrote that the shadows repeated these words until the couples believed them. One boy, Domenico Ruffino, age 15, asked if the couples could be saved. Bosco said yes, if they married in the church, confessed, made reparation. The foundation would be rebuilt, not with sand, with stone. Ruffino asked how long it took to rebuild. Bosco said it depended. Some couples rebuilt in months, others took years. Some never did because one partner refused. He targeted young workers, boys and girls arriving in Turin for factory jobs. He told them the vision in his night classes, in the workshops, on walks. He did not moralize. He reported, "This is what I saw. These are the outcomes. You decide." His method was facts. He gave them the numbers. He told them about Lucia Ferrari's, showed them via Poe, pointed to the building. The boys checked. The death record existed. The details matched. By 1865, Bosco had recorded 12 more visions about couples living without marriage. He saw them in different cities: Genoa, Milan, Florence, Rome. Each vision followed the same structure: stone house, sand foundation, collapse. He wrote them all down, dated them, named streets when he could. In one vision, he saw a couple in Genoa living near the port. The man worked loading ships. They had 2 children. No sacrament. The house looked strong, but the man was stealing from the cargo. Small things, cloth, tools. He sold them for extra money. The woman knew, said nothing. The foundation was not just sand now, it was mud. The house did not crack. It dissolved. One night the man was caught, arrested, sent to a labor camp in Sardinia. The woman could not pay rent. She and the children were evicted. Bosco saw them begging near the harbor. He wrote the date, April 1864. He sent a Salesian priest to Genoa to check. The priest found the woman. Name matched the vision. Children matched. Story matched. Bosco brought her to Turin, found her work at a laundry run by nuns, helped her regularize her marriage by proxy while the man served his sentence. The foundation was rebuilt. Not the party, the sacrament, the public vow before God and witnesses, the blessing. Without it, you're building on sand. It looks fine, feels fine, until pressure comes, job loss, illness, debt, infidelity. Then the sand gives, the house collapses. Bosco said this in his sermons. He gave statistics. He had tracked 73 couples in Turin between 1855 and 1868. 32 lived together without marriage. 27 of those 32 separated within 5 years. 18 of the 27 had children who ended up orphaned or in state care. 5 of the women died in poverty. 3 of the men were imprisoned. Bosco compared this to 41 couples he knew who married in the church during the same period. 38 were still together after 5 years. 3 separated, but the church annulled the marriages and both parties remarried validly. The children from these families stayed with relatives or were adopted within the faith. Bosco wrote that the sacrament created a network, family, parish, godparents. When trouble came, the network held. Without the sacrament, the couple was alone. It is the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you are hearing this from. Now back to the information. He was not speaking to monks or nuns. He was speaking to 15-year-old factory workers making 40 lire a month who saw their friends move in with girlfriends and thought it looked good. Bosco used the visions as data. This is what happens. Here are the numbers. Here are the names. Check for yourself. A writer named Giuseppe Bondi published an editorial in 1866 in the Turin Gazette, accused Bosco of inventing visions to control the poor. Bosco responded in his Catholic Readings publication, printed the names of the couples from his visions who had given him permission to share their stories, printed the streets, the dates, the outcomes. Bandi did not respond. In 1869, the Archbishop of Turin, Lorenzo Gastaldi, ordered an inquiry into Bosco's visions. Gastaldi was not hostile. He was careful. He assigned 3 priests to interview Bosco, collect his written records, interview witnesses. The inquiry lasted 4 months. The priests reviewed 212 pages of vision accounts, interviewed 63 witnesses. 41 were boys from the oratory who had heard Bosco recount visions within days of their occurrence. 22 were adults, priests, teachers, businessmen who had worked with Bosco and heard him speak about the visions. The priests cross-checked Bosco's details. They found street records, death certificates, court documents. 37 of Bosco's vision details matched public records exactly. 8 could not be verified because records were incomplete or missing. None contradicted the public record. The inquiry concluded in September 1869. The report said Bosco's visions were credible, not proven divine, but credible. The Archbishop approved continued use of the visions in Bosco's teaching. He trained them in his method. Teach catechism, teach trades, use the visions as case studies. The priests reported back. The pattern held across cities. Couples without the sacrament had higher separation rates, higher poverty rates, higher rates of children entering orphanages. The Salesians started tracking this formally. Between 1870 and 1880, they documented 147 couples in 5 cities. 73 married in the church, 74 did not. After 10 years, 61 of the 73 church-married couples were still together. 12 had separated. Of the 74 couples who lived together without marriage, 19 were still together after 10 years. 55 had separated. 41 of those separations left children without adequate support. The numbers were published in the Salesian Bulletin in 1881. In 1873, he had a vision about a boy named Carlo Gastini. Bosco saw Carlo working in a factory, saw him meet a girl, saw them move in together, saw the house collapse, saw Carlo die in a work accident 3 years later. Bosco told Carlo the vision, warned him. Carlo ignored it. Met a girl in 1875, moved in, no marriage. In 1877, Carlo was crushed by a machine at a textile mill in Moncalieri, 9 kilometers south of Turin. He was 23, the girl was pregnant. She gave birth 4 months after Carlo died. The child was placed in an orphanage. Bosco documented this, compared it to another boy, Giuseppe Buzzetti, who had a similar vision but listened. Giuseppe married in the church in 1876, had 3 children, worked at the oratory as a carpenter until he died in 1933 at age 86. His children all survived. 2 became priests. The foundation can be rebuilt, but you have to choose. Young people living together, no sacrament. The houses looked modern, tall, made of materials Bosco did not recognize. He described metal and glass, lights without fire, but the foundations were the same, sand, shifting. He saw the houses collapse in waves, not one by one, all at once. He saw children wandering, lost. He saw men and women alone, old, abandoned, no family, no network. He told Augusto the vision felt different. Not a warning for one couple, a warning for a generation. The Salesian Bulletin published updates every 5 years, 1895, 1900, 1905. The pattern held. Couples who married in the church had better outcomes, lower separation rates, lower poverty rates, better outcomes for children. Documented, verified, cross-checked. They found that 41 of Bosco's visions about specific couples had enough detail to verify. Street names, dates, outcomes. They checked civil records, parish records, court records. 33 visions matched the records exactly. 8 had minor discrepancies in dates or spelling of names, but the core events matched. None contradicted the records. The investigators concluded that Bosco's visions were either genuine supernatural knowledge or the result of extraordinary pastoral observation combined with record keeping. Either way, they were not fabrications. Bosco was beatified June 2nd, 1929, canonized April 1st, 1934. His feast day is January 31st. The Salesians continued to report similar patterns, not visions, but outcomes. In 1953, a Salesian sociologist named Father Pietro Ricaldoni published a study. He tracked 500 couples in Turin between 1930 and 1950. 250 married in the church. 250 lived together without marriage. After 20 years, 198 of the church-married couples were still together. 52 had separated. Of the 250 couples who lived together without marriage, 67 were still together after 20 years. 183 had separated. Ricaldoni's study was published by the Pontifical Gregorian University Press. It was cited in church documents on marriage for the next 30 years. In 1965, during the Second Vatican Council, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Montini, who would become Pope Paul VI, cited Bosco's visions in a speech to the council. He did not argue for mysticism, he argued from outcomes. He presented data from Salesian missions in South America, Africa, Asia, everywhere the pattern held. Couples who married in the church had better outcomes. The council did not change the doctrine. Marriage remained a sacrament, but the council emphasized pastoral care. Priests were instructed to meet cohabiting couples with mercy, help them regularize their unions, rebuild the foundation. Exhaustion. Some researchers argue these conditions triggered altered states. Others point to his extraordinary memory. Bosco could recite entire conversations from weeks prior, name boys he had met once, recall street addresses from brief visits. His brain processed and stored information differently. When he dreamed, perhaps that processing continued, sorted patterns, predicted outcomes based on observed data. But the witnesses complicate this. The boys at the oratory did not just hear Bosco recount dreams, they heard predictions. In 1864, Bosco told a boy named Michel Rua about a couple living on Via San Domenico. Bosco had never met them. Rua knew the street but not the couple. Bosco described the man's work, barrel maker, described the woman, seamstress, said they had been living together 8 months. Said the man would leave within 2 months. Rua checked, found the couple, barrel maker, seamstress, 8 months together. Rua tried to warn them. The man laughed, said they were fine. 6 weeks later, the man left, took their savings. The woman was evicted. Rua documented this, signed testimony, dated May 18th, 64. It is in the archives. Bosco described a couple in Milan to a visiting priest named Father Giovanni Cagliero. Bosco had never been to the specific neighborhood, Navigli district, canal area. He described the house, 3 stories, red shutters, said a young couple lived on the 2nd floor, no marriage. The woman was pregnant, said the baby would die within 3 days of birth. Cagliero was skeptical but checked. Found the house, red shutters, 3 stories. Found the couple. The woman was 7 months pregnant. Cagliero tried to convince them to marry. They refused. The baby was born September 2nd, 1868, died September 5th. Respiratory failure. Cagliero wrote to Bosco, confirmed every detail, asked how Bosco knew. Bosco wrote back one line, "I saw it. When they appeared, when they left." In his January 1862 account, he wrote that the shadows entered through cracks in the walls, started small, grew larger as the couple sinned, drinking, violence, adultery, blasphemy. Each sin opened the house more, made the shadows stronger. Bosco wrote that the shadows whispered constantly, not loud, barely audible, but constant, dripping accusations into the couple's minds. You are worthless. You are trapped. You are hated. The couple started repeating these thoughts, believing them, acting on them. Relationships under stress without support structures deteriorate faster. Partners internalize negative patterns. Depression and anxiety increase. Violence becomes more likely. Bosco saw this pattern across hundreds of couples, coded it in his vision language, shadows and sand. Is he avoiding talk of marriage? If yes, they intervened, pulled him aside, reminded him of the visions, showed him the data, brought him to Don Bosco. This was not shaming, this was network intervention. The structure Bosco built relied on peer accountability. Between 1860 and 1880, 347 boys graduated from oratory programs. 291 eventually married. 268 married in the church. 23 married civilly or cohabited first. After 10 years, 241 of the church marriages were intact. 27 had separated. Of the 23 who cohabited first, 9 were still together. 14 had separated. The oratory network made a difference. Taught them catechism, helped them find safe housing, gave them the same data he gave the boys, the same visions, the same outcomes. He told them they had agency. They could refuse to move in with a man who would not marry them. They could demand the sacrament. If the man refused, they could walk away. Between 1866 and 1875, he helped 83 women leave cohabiting relationships and rebuild their lives. 41 eventually married other men in the church. 27 entered religious life. 15 remained single but stable. The Salesians tracked them for decades. 79 of the 83 were still alive and self-sufficient in 1890. Living together 3 years. 2 children. No marriage. They were fighting constantly. Paolo drank. Anna was exhausted. They heard Bosco could help. Bosco met with them separately first, asked about their history. Paolo said they could not afford a wedding. Bosco said the church did not require an expensive wedding. A priest, 2 witnesses, done. Paolo admitted he was scared marriage would trap him. Bosco asked if he felt trapped now. Paolo said yes. Bosco said living together without commitment was the trap. Marriage was the door out. With marriage, he made a vow, before God, before community. Harder to break. Anna cried, said Paolo would never agree. Bosco said he would try. Bosco said the foundation could be rebuilt. Stone, sacrament, public vow. He offered to marry them that week. Free. Simple ceremony. Paolo hesitated. Bosco waited. Finally, Paolo agreed. Paolo stopped drinking within a month. Got a better job. Anna smiled more. The children were healthier. Bosco checked on them yearly. In 1880, 9 years later, they were still together. 4 children now. Paolo worked as a mason. Anna took in sewing. They were not wealthy, but stable. Bosco wrote in his journal, "The foundation holds." In 1874, a couple named Tommaso and Giulia came to him. Living together 5 years, 3 children, constant violence. Tommaso hit Giulia. She hit back. The children were terrified. Bosco tried to help, offered to marry them, offered counseling, offered separation with church support for Giulia. Tommaso refused everything. Giulia stayed with Tommaso out of fear. Bosco warned her, told her she and the children were in danger. Offered a place at a women's shelter run by nuns. Giulia refused, said she loved Tommaso, said he would change. Bosco documented this, wrote that he believed Giulia would die if she stayed. She did. August 1875. Tommaso beat her to death during a fight. The children witnessed it. Tommaso was arrested, tried, executed by firing squad April 1876. The children were placed in an orphanage. Bosco wrote that this was the worst outcome of the Sand Foundation. Not separation, not poverty, death. Only after safety is established, consider marriage if both parties want it and the violent partner has undergone real change. These guidelines were radical for the time. Most priests pressured women to stay in violent marriages. Bosco said no, safety first, sacrament second. The Salesians separated 59 of those couples, helped the victims relocate, found them work, protected the children. 14 couples reconciled after the violent partner underwent extended counseling and demonstrated sustained change. 8 of those 14 couples married and stayed together long term. During those 6 months, the couple attended weekly classes. Topics included finance management, conflict resolution, child rearing, sexual ethics, prayer. The classes were taught by married couples from the parish. The engaged couples also met with a priest monthly, discussed their relationship, identified problems, worked through them before the wedding. If serious issues emerged, the priest could recommend delaying the marriage. This happened 47 times between 1865 and 1885. 29 couples delayed their weddings, worked through their issues, and eventually married. 18 couples broke off the engagement. Bosco considered this a success. Better to discover incompatibility before marriage than after. Between 1865 and 1885, 312 couples completed Bosco's preparation program and married. After 10 years, 286 were still together. 26 had separated. The separation rate was 8%. The Salesians compared this to couples who married without preparation in the same parishes. Separation rate was 21%. The preparation cut separation risk by more than half. Between 1860 and 1880, the oratory placed 4,218 young people in jobs. The job placements reduced poverty, reduced stress, improved marriage outcomes. In 1876, he had a vision about a boy named Luigi Costa. Saw Luigi steal, go to prison, die there. Bosco told Luigi, showed him the path. Luigi was terrified. Bosco helped him find work, kept him close. Luigi never stole, never went to prison. Died in 1938 at age 79. His grandson became a Salesian priest. The vision did not predict fate. It predicted consequences of choices. Luigi changed his choices. The question remains, were Bosco's visions supernatural? The church said credible, not proven, but the data says predictive. The witnesses say detailed and accurate. Modern researchers cannot agree. What is clear is that Bosco used the visions to save lives. Whether divine knowledge or exceptional pattern recognition or both, the outcomes speak. Thousands of boys stayed out of crime. Hundreds of couples built stable marriages. Dozens of women escaped violence. The teams published findings between 2010 and 2014. The Oxford team concluded that Bosco's visions showed statistical literacy ahead of his time. He tracked outcomes, recognized patterns, made predictions based on probability. His vision language was metaphorical encoding of data analysis. The Sand Foundation represented lack of support. The collapsing house represented predictable failure under stress. They noted details Bosco could not have known through normal channels. The Milan case with Father Cagliero, the Via Po death matching a date 5 years before Bosco's vision. The team acknowledged 3 possibilities. Bosco had informants he never disclosed. Some visions were retrospective, or Bosco accessed information through means current science cannot explain. The team could not determine which. Bosco's method worked. His interventions reduced harm. His programs produced measurable positive outcomes. Whether his visions were supernatural or psychological or social or all 3, they served a practical purpose. They saved people, not as magic, as case studies, as warnings grounded in observed reality. In Argentina, Salesian centers help street kids. In India, they run schools for Dalit children. In Uganda, they teach clean water management. In the Philippines, they train electricians. Everywhere they track marriage outcomes. Everywhere the pattern holds. Community support matters. Public commitment matters. The foundation matters. The debate about Bosco's visions will not end. Believers see divine intervention. Skeptics see human genius. Both can agree Bosco understood something fundamental about relationships. They need structure, support, commitment made public, accountability beyond the couple. Without these, pressure breaks them. With these, they can weather storms. What did he see? In 1958, a Salesian priest named Father Eugenio Chiaria published a commentary. He argued Bosco saw the 20th century. Apartment buildings, electricity, cars. A world where young people moved to cities for work, lived alone, dated without chaperones, cohabited freely, married late or not at all. The foundation of family dissolved. Chiaria wrote that Bosco's vision predicted the sexual revolution, the collapse of traditional marriage, the rise of single-parent households, the loneliness epidemic. Critics said he was reading modern concerns into an old vision, but the Salesian data from the 1950s and 60s supported Chiaria's interpretation. Cohabitation was rising, church marriages were declining, separation rates were climbing. Everything Bosco saw was materializing. In 1973, a Salesian researcher named Father Carlo Fiore conducted interviews with elderly former oratory boys, men in their 80s and 90s who had known Bosco personally. Fiore recorded 53 interviews. The men remembered the visions, remembered Bosco's warnings. One man, Giacomo Bellini, age 89, told Fiore about his own near miss. Bellini met a girl in 1896. He was 19. She was 17. They wanted to move in together. Bellini's friends from the oratory intervened, took him to a Salesian priest. The priest told him Bosco's visions, showed him the data. Bellini listened, waited, married the girl in 1898. They had 6 children, stayed together 54 years until she died in 1952. Bellini told Fiore he would have moved in with her if not for the intervention. Probably would have left her when money got tight. He was young, stupid. The oratory network saved him. A single paragraph. Bosco wrote that after he saw the houses collapse, he saw them rebuilt. Not all of them, but many. He saw couples return, confess, marry. The sand was removed, stone was laid. The houses stood. He saw children raised, families formed, networks built. The houses were not perfect. They had cracks, repairs, but they stood. He wrote one line at the end. The line was in Latin. It translates as, "The foundation is everything. Without it, love is not enough."